Number 8. Hertz stolen car scandal. It's rare for a whole corporation to be accused of playing the victim card, but that's exactly what happened in 2022 when hundreds of innocent customers were falsely accused of stealing vehicles from the Hertz rental car company. In a class action lawsuit, 364 customers described how they were arrested, charged, and sometimes thrown in jail based on these completely inaccurate claims against them. Some of the customers even faced felony charges. One woman from Chicago was pulled over for a suspected seatbelt violation and was thrown in the slammer after being informed by the officer that there was a warrant out for her arrest. She languished behind bars for more than a month while she sorted out the disastrous misunderstanding. A national public radio broadcast described how a mother of two from Florida was accused of stealing her rental car, despite taking the proper steps to extend the rental period several times. She even had text message conversation with Hertz employees confirming the extensions, but regardless, she spent nearly 40 days in jail and ended up missing her nursing school graduation. Another man from Mississippi spent 6 months in jail for allegedly stealing his Hertz rental car after returning the vehicle and paying for it in full. He informed the company of the mistake, but they apparently forgot to tell prosecutors, so when the man didn't show up for his hearing, he was locked up. In addition to facing unjust legal consequences, the accused customers claimed that they lost out on job opportunities and, in some instances, were separated from their children. Many of the customers even faced the trauma of being arrested at gunpoint when they did absolutely nothing wrong. The class action lawsuit accused Hertz employees of losing track of cars, deleting rental extensions, and backdating rental dates to make the vehicle's returns appear overdue. As a result, the rental vehicles were mistakenly reported to the police as stolen. Hertz agreed to pay out $168 million to the 364 plaintiffs named in the lawsuit to make right with the company's false allegations, which upended and severely disrupted people's lives by no fault of their own. Number 7. Michael Rollison. Former Rockland, Maine police officer Michael Rollison was fired in 2021 after he admitted to beating 8 porcupines to death with his baton while on duty. He said that he didn't hate the animals, but that they kept getting into his camping property and were nuisances on the road. Rollison's attorney highlighted his client's past military service and achievements as a police officer in an attempt to mitigate his behavior. And while he managed to avoid any felony convictions, he still ended up losing his job and served a brief jail sentence. Rollison's colleague, Addison Cox, was also fired and criminally charged in connection with the case, and he served a short jail sentence as well. But Rollison's problems didn't end there. In early 2022, an 80-year-old woman named Glennis Lane sued the city of Rockland with allegations that he used excessive force during an arrest 2 years earlier. According to the Bangor Daily News, the incident occurred at an apartment complex where the police came to tow a truck that belonged to Lane's son. When Lane tried to move the vehicle, Rollison allegedly grabbed her and proceeded to batter, manhandle, and otherwise use unnecessary force towards Ms. Lane, causing multiple visual injuries and bruises. For some odd reason, the senior citizen was charged with assault and refusing to submit to arrest. And while the case was ultimately dropped due to insufficient evidence, Lane felt that the way she was treated at the scene deserved to be addressed as a separate court matter. The case appears to be ongoing, and Lane is seeking a jury trial and an unspecified amount of damages. Number 6. Faulty facial recognition technology. An 18-year-old New Yorker named Usman Bar is accusing Apple's facial recognition system of falsely connecting him to a series of thefts at its stores. As a result of the alleged mix-up, he was arrested at his home in late 2022 with a warrant depicting what he claims was a mugshot of someone else. According to the $1 billion lawsuit Bar filed against Apple, even an NYPD detective acknowledged that surveillance footage of the real suspect looked nothing like the falsely accused young man. Barr's attorney told the Washington Post that his client had lost his interim driver's permit, which didn't have a photo on it, and suggested that the thief may have used it as ID at an Apple store. If this were the case, it would connect the real thief's appearance with Barr's name every time he entered an Apple location. As a result of the confusion, Barr was charged with crimes in Delaware, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York. He said he'd never stepped foot in Boston until he was arraigned there on charges relating to an alleged theft at an Apple store. and he was at his senior prom the day the crime occurred, further supporting his allegations against the company of targeting him in a case of mistaken identity. 3 states dropped their cases against Bauer, but the situation has caused no shortage of stress and hardship in his life, and unfortunately he still faces charges in New Jersey. His once spotless reputation, which he valued highly and put a lot of effort into maintaining, is now damaged, making it even harder for him to put his life back together after it never should have fallen apart. Apple declined to comment on the matter, but denied allegations that it uses facial recognition technology to identify shoplifters. And while nobody is disputing that the company suffered from a series of thefts, Bauer's attorney is confident that the victim card was falsely played against his client. The lawsuit is ongoing. In addition to seeking a $1 billion settlement, Bauer wants Apple to acknowledge that it wrongfully and baselessly damaged his reputation. He also wants the company to recognize any mistakes in its stored data that connect him to the real shoplifter. Number 5. Eleanor Williams. Police in Cumbria, England, found a young woman named Eleanor Williams bleeding and bruised one day in 2020. She told the officers that she was assaulted and trafficked by a group of men. The next day, Williams posted photos of her injuries to social media, along with an account of the alleged incident, in which she claimed to fall victim to an Asian gang's grooming techniques. Based on her story, authorities arrested a local business owner on suspicion of trafficking. He insisted he had no involvement with Williams and was ultimately cleared of any wrongdoing, but the accusations destroyed his business and his life. The business owner told the court that he's received over 500 death threats from Williams' supporters. After clearing him, police arrested Williams on suspicion of making the entire story up, but the man's nightmare continues as he faces scrutiny in court from the young woman's defense lawyers. Prosecutors claim that Williams' injuries were self-inflicted using a hammer that investigators found her DNA on, but she continues to maintain her innocence. Her story is complex and deep and includes allegations that she was conditioned by the so-called gang over a long period of time. She said that the gang members forced her to go out and party and to do other things she didn't want to do. She even tried to move away and attempted to take her own life in order to escape the gang, with no luck. Williams also claimed that she was engaged to one of the gang members so he could stay in the country, and insisted that the relationship wasn't based on love. She's now facing 8 charges of perverting the course of justice. In court, the jury learned of several incidents where Williams' mother reported her missing and how she was later found with injuries. The defendant described, in horrifying detail, the various forms of torture she supposedly endured each time something like this happened. Her trial is ongoing, and whether the jury believes her side of the story remains to be seen. Number 4. A costly court case. In early 2022, Trevor Bauer, pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, was suspended for 2 full seasons based on allegations that he brutally assaulted a woman. It was the longest non-lifetime suspension ever handed down by the league. The decision came following a months-long investigation, but Bauer adamantly maintained his innocence in the case, claiming that he was falsely accused. He vowed to appeal the decision. Bauer was never criminally charged in connection with the case. In a statement, the Los Angeles County District Attorney said that a thorough review found that there wasn't enough evidence to prove the allegations beyond a reasonable doubt. This doesn't necessarily prove Bauer's innocence, but it cleared him of any criminal wrongdoing. In response to the assault claims, Bauer filed a defamation lawsuit against his accuser for allegedly pursuing bogus criminal and civil actions and for making false and malicious statements against him. The suit also alleges that the woman was motivated by a desire for attention. In late 2022, the league reversed its decision to suspend Bauer, who by then had missed an entire season. Although he managed to save his career and carried out some effective damage control to his reputation, not everyone believes he's innocent. And even though he was cleared, his accuser insists that her allegations against him are true. But for now, he has the benefit of reasonable doubt, and nobody seems to know what truly happened or didn't happen between the baseball legend and the woman who sounded the alarm on his alleged actions behind closed doors. Number 3. Rebecca Palmer. When Rebecca Palmer hooked up with a young British soldier based in Tidworth in 2015, she found herself wanting a relationship with him. But when he rejected her, she went on a vicious smear campaign against him and his family. Using various fake social media profiles, Palmer made numerous false allegations against the man, including that he abused her and forced himself on her. She also reportedly did things that could potentially affect his credit and his ability to get a mortgage, a credit card, or even a bank account. But the most hurtful consequences for the soldier came in the form of his destroyed career, along with the humiliation and pain that he and his family suffered at the hands of Palmer's vengeful lies. The man initially faced criminal consequences, and even then, Palmer continued with her campaign of torment by accusing him of violating his bail conditions. A law firm finally exposed the truth by tracking Palmer's online activity, proving that the man she made horrific allegations against was actually the victim. She continued to lie to the police, but ultimately pleaded guilty to several crimes, including perverting the course of justice and malicious communications. As a result, Palmer was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Palmer's lawyers appealed her sentence, arguing that 5 years in prison was excessive. They also accused the court of failing to consider the woman's significant mental health history. But 3 judges disagreed and voted to uphold the punishment, giving her no choice but to serve the time behind bars. Number 2. Nadia Amine. After receiving some hateful comments from a viewer who accused her of cheating one day in 2022, popular Call of Duty streamer Nadia Amine revealed the person's full name during a live stream. Under Twitch policy, this is considered doxing and is a major violation of someone's privacy. Amine received a 14-day ban for the violation, but was allowed back on Twitch after less than a day. Many internet users felt she deserved a more severe punishment, especially considering her initial reaction to the ban. In a seemingly confused tweet dripping with sarcastic overtones, she wrote, "Got banned on Twitch for 14 days for sharing personal information. Whatever that means. Cool." Amine eventually acknowledged her doxing mistake in an apology video. She said that in hindsight, she wished she'd responded to the hateful comments the way she usually does, by trolling the individual back without revealing any of their personal information. Describing her bad decision as a moment of weakness, Amine said that the ban scared her because it made her realize how much she enjoys streaming on Twitch, and it forced her to entertain the idea of no longer being allowed to do so. While she insisted she wasn't trying to play the victim, this was just the latest in a series of controversies that Amine has landed herself in. Fellow Call of Duty players have repeatedly accused her of cheating, and some even allege that she uses a VPN that matches her to players of lower skill sets to give herself an advantage. Amine denies these and other accusations regarding her integrity as a live streamer, and has said in the past that she's simply a better player than people want to acknowledge. And while there may be some merit to her claims, the doxing incident didn't do her any favors when it came to improving her image. Number 1. Leah Jumeaux. In 2020, a man from Lancashire, England, received text messages containing photos of his girlfriend gagged and bound, along with a ransom demand for £2,000, $2,407 in exchange for the young woman's safe return. The understandably alarmed boyfriend reported the situation to authorities, who tracked down and questioned his girlfriend, 20-year-old Leah Jumeaux. It was immediately clear that she hadn't been kidnapped, and she eventually admitted that she faked the ordeal as a plot to get money so she could buy Christmas gifts for her friends and family. In the end, Jumeaux was charged with blackmail and fraud by false representation. She pleaded guilty to a reduced fraud charge and was sentenced to 34 weeks at a young offenders jail. Lancashire Detective Constable Lisa Carr described Jumeaux's actions and behavior as bizarre and said that her story fell apart quickly under questioning. Carr said that she hoped the punishment would give the young woman time to reflect on her actions and learn from her mistakes. Would you rather endure months of public scrutiny for allegedly playing the victim card, only to prove in the end that you were being truthful, or deal with the guilt of not speaking up against someone and finding out that they went on to harm someone else? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.